we're gonna assume that's us. Yeah, we've got a couple of viewers, so I think that's us live. Not without the help of AI, which is fitting given what we're going to talk about today. We're just gonna, I guess, wait 1 or 2 minutes, let some more people join in through LinkedIn. Then we'll jump right through into intros and into the meaty stuff.
Sounds good to me.
And I'll also just check that we are all live as well.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, good. Oh, good. Um, cool. Yeah, perfect. I think we're good to get started.
Awesome.
Awesome. Cool. Do you want to kick us off with just
Yeah.
a very quick intro on your side?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the webinar today. Super happy to be here with my friend Sambhav. We've known each other quite a while, but this is the first time we're really hopping on a webinar. No one I'd rather go over influencer and affiliate super into the weeds. I figured his agency's approach and our company's AI would just make a super great balance for an educational webinar today. For those of you who don't know, my name's Sohan. I'm the Director of Sales and Product Ops at Euka. We were founded to address challenges in social commerce. We're really looking at combining AI with marketing tech and social commerce workflows to essentially empower marketers to amplify campaign performance, unlock new growth opportunities. But I really want to focus in on the marketer's workflow and figure out what parts can be automated, what parts can be amplified, and then figure out how we can empower agency owners like Sambhav with the correct technology to drive results for his brands.
And I think you're selling yourself a bit short there, but from the kind of at least fortnightly conversations we've been having now, I genuinely don't think there's anyone better positioned to talk about that tech data automation side behind building out these programs. I can tell you firsthand that a lot of the stuff that Sohan's mentioned over the last year from his experience working with lots of different agencies has been really critical to the growth and success of our clients as well. If you haven't heard of us at Augmentum, a super quick intro. We're a premium influencer agency building and scaling influencer programs all across the health and wellness vertical, with brands really all the way from pre-launch to kind of Fortune 500. For brands in the health vertical, more than in any other industry, trust is really paramount. And unfortunately, far too many influencer promotions nowadays are just fake and scripted. This really doesn't breed trust, it does the opposite. And so when we were having conversations with brand founders with this problem, we really leveraged authenticity and ensuring that every influencer promotes our clients, who's promoting our client genuinely loves the product, to build influencer programs that lead to better results across the board. So hopefully throughout kind of our conversation today, you can get some knowledge from our day-to-day influencer ops for brands like Lululemon, Fussy, Numa, Freya, and countless more. And hopefully also quite applicable to verticals outside of health and wellness as well from a program structure perspective. That being said, I think it's good to just set the scene a bit, explore what is social commerce, where are we right now, why is this such an exciting space, and why are we so happy to be a part of it. So, and I know you brought together some stats earlier. It'd be good for you to just run through just where this opportunity is and where we are in kind of in the growth of the social commerce industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to switch between social commerce and the creator economy since I think they're both very related to each other, and lots of your social commerce efforts can be used in environments where it's primarily creator economy. So, right now in the US, social commerce is trending towards an $80 billion total addressable market in the US, right? So, that's $80 billion of transactions, businesses, revenue potential in the US for businesses. Additionally, the creator economy is also projected to be worth $250 billion as of the end of 2025. About one third of customers are expected to purchase goods through social media in 2025, and the kicker is 50% of those are expected to be Gen Z, which really makes sense when you think about the rise of TikTok Shop with about a 49% Gen Z audience, right? And then MarTech for the creator economy, so not MarTech as a total, but just for the creator economy, is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 20 to 25% year over year from 2023 to 2030. So there's really a lot of industry drivers supporting growth, innovation, new businesses into the space for social commerce and the creator economy. That's why it's been growing so fast. Just wanted to color the scene with a few numbers here first.
Yeah, absolutely. And one stat I heard, kind of not very recently anymore, maybe 7 months ago now, was that influencer spend in, I think it was 2023, was still just 1% of all marketing spend for D2C brands. So you kind of put that combination of numbers together in terms of the size of the market, how much money is flowing through the creator economy, how quickly it's growing. But you look at the potential in terms of only 1% of all marketing spend is on influencers at the moment. Definitely makes for such an exciting space, and it's really no surprise that so many people are looking to invest quite heavily into influencer and creator over the coming years.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I'm super bullish on this with CPMs rising too. Like people are really starting to explore influencer as an alternative or complementary channel to paid. I mean, with that being said, there's also been a huge spotlight shined again on affiliate marketing. With TikTok Shop, social commerce, people are acting like affiliate marketing just really hasn't been around and it's this shiny new thing, but it's always been around. So I'm glad it's finally getting the recognition it deserves as just the most flexible marketing model that there really is, right? You only pay for your marketing when someone makes a sale. It almost sounds like a dream. The hard part is really getting it to work, right? And at scale, those affiliate marketing programs eat you up as you scale. It's very easy to manage 50 influencers on commission and manage relationships with them, but the goal is to get to 1,000 plus influencers. And then when you're one person handling 1,000 influencer relationships, you're going to burn yourself out. So how do you grow an affiliate marketing program that's successful without burning yourself out? That's what we're going to dive into today. So the first thing we're going to cover is really the structure of the affiliate program, right? I think we all need to narrow down straight into the components and how they relate to each other. So, one of the first things that I find is very necessary and overlooked is a compelling affiliate offer. I'm going to pass it over to Sambhav to just go over this a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to set the scene there, the reason why this is so important, and is a conversation I have with kind of minimum 10 different brands every single week, is just due to how popular influencer affiliate, creator affiliate is becoming. If you're an influencer now, and I personally know influencers now that get 40, 50 affiliate offers every single week, let alone kind of every single month or year, which is what it used to be. And so, yes, you need a lot of things to be able to make sure that the influencer is the right fit for you. Yes, you need to make sure that the influencer genuinely wants to promote your brand. But even if all of that is in order, you still need to have the right offer, the right audience discount, the right commission, and the right perks to make that influencer want to join your program. And then for that to then scale across as many different influencers as you can. What I want to share is just one model that we've been using, particularly for subscription first brands. And it's all based around unit economics. I should caveat this by saying that this is all focused on brands that are in quite competitive spaces. If you are a one of one product, if you have built a category, then there is definitely a case to be dropping your discount and commission quite low, just due to everything else that you've got differentiating you as a brand. But for a branded competitive category, what we look to do is go as close to break even on first order as possible, and then make all the money up on LTV. So, hypothetical scenario, let's say a brand has a 65% margin. From that, we would look for the discount and the commission to be split to maybe add up to around 55 or 60%. The way that we would split that is by looking at competitors, seeing what percentage they're offering on a commission basis. Let's say your largest competitor is offering 20% commission, then we'd look to offer 25 or higher. We'd also look at your site-wide discount. If you are running an email flow, for example, with a 15% discount, or if you're looking at running a lot of offers over the next quarter with 15 or 20% site-wide sales, then it makes no sense to have an influencer offer and the discount for their audience to be lower than that. So combine all of that, and you basically end up with a scenario where you want the discount that an influencer can offer their audience to be 5% higher than anything you're offering site-wide. That's to give their audience a really exclusive offer. And then you want the rest of that to be made up in commission, as long as that commission is beating your main competitors that are investing heavily into influencer affiliate. We then look for that only to be on new customers, so only on the first order that anyone's making, and then treat it as a customer acquisition channel with the rest of the money being made up in lifetime value.
Nice. Love that. So just to narrow down into the elements a bit more, right? What would you say are the most necessary components when brands are thinking about structuring the affiliate offer?
I mean, number one, has to be said, is just commission. Right, it's simple, but it's the number one reason why an ambassador joins your program is to be able to make money on it. The second, and depends on brand and depends on channel, which I'm sure we can get into later on. But the second is product and audience fit. But you really can't succeed in the affiliate channel anymore with a 10% discount, 10% commission offer, unless your product is one of those one-of-one offers. Off the back of that, we also recommend getting pretty creative with everything else that you're offering outside of just monetary value. I know you've got a million examples, and we've got a couple examples that we can go through later as well, of making influencers feel like part of a community, giving them access to specific products before they launch, adding them into specific behind the scenes information, providing them with assets that maybe other people don't have, to really just further strengthen that offer off the back of your kind of discount and commission.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, once you get your influencers in, your offers airtight, that community gamification, super important. When it comes to like commission, product, and creator fit, you've totally hit the mark there. With commission, you've got to make sure it makes sense for your unit economics. For brands that aren't subscription model, you should be taking a look at your MSRP or your strike through price. You should be looking at your COGS. Then you should be looking at all your in-platform costs, your referral fee, your promotional costs, any sort of like, if you're on Amazon, your FBA fees and things like that, right? And then get down to your operating margin and understand at what levels of commission and what levels of discounts can I hit an operating margin that meets my in-channel goals, right? And then part of that, like Sambhav was saying, is selecting the correct product for this. Ideally selecting a product that has a higher gross margin so you have room to test different discounts and commissions, because it's a super competitive environment. Even with TikTok Shop, everyone is competing on discount and price, and it's just made it very cutthroat. So you have to be very, very specific when you're testing different products in your product catalog, and understand that even if you test 3 levels of commission and promotion, you may need to have a backup SKU for your affiliate program. And then lastly, one thing I want to touch on is the creative briefs and the creator fit. So if you're selecting a certain product, understanding, is that product solving a certain pain point or emphasizing a dream outcome for a specific customer, and which creator profiles in the channel you're selling are a good fit for that. I know one thing Augmentum does really, really well is take those affiliates from seeding, or take those creators from seeding into the affiliate stage. When you're starting to work with creators and preparing them to create successful content, how do you approach that?
Yeah, no, great question. Um, and let me just go back 1 second. I think one thing that I'd want to mention on the affiliate offer itself actually is just giving yourself a bit of room. I've seen far too many brands go really hard, like do the opposite, go really hard on their discount and commission, and then realize, well, you can never really bring either of those down without damaging the program. You can always bring them up. So we give them a bit of room, and then that way you can, over a temporary period or permanently, improve the discount and commission once you've kind of started to understand exactly how much is required to get the channel to work for you. Sorry, do you mind repeating your other question?
Yeah, I would say just when you get those creators to start performing well, right? When you're thinking about how do I get this creator to create good content, right? You've got your affiliate offer airtight. What does that look like? What does a good creative brief look like?
Yeah, no, great question. Um, and this really depends on it depends on channel, it depends on region, and it depends on the influencers themselves. Um, I'll give a couple examples. You can have this kind of like business as usual brief, right? You can have this brief which maybe runs through what kind of length of content is working for yourselves at the moment. What are the key talking points that we want to get across? We always try and give influencers as many different options as possible because you don't want to force them to talk about one specific topic. We give them brand assets, so what color scheme could you use if they want to get that in depth? What logos should they use if they want to make it slightly more on that polished side? What phrases, what CTAs, what hooks have been working best? That's all great, but what we typically do is package that up into a doc and then basically say, use it if you want. And it's that optionality that allows us to balance the direction that a brief gives with the creative freedom that an influencer can provide and kind of do what they do best, which is create content. Um, I mentioned earlier that depends on channel, region, and influencer niche. I want to give a couple examples. We're working with a brand right now in Germany where we found recently that the German market, and particularly this niche within the German market, which is MMA fighters, combat sports, kind of super masculine content creators, are useless at creating content. And so that's straight away a case for us to build out much stronger briefs, and they're they resonate really well with just receiving a step by step of exactly what they need to do, exactly what they need to film, and then they film it that way. However, you might go to, I guess, a more creative niche. Let's say it's a lifestyle or a holistic wellness niche where a lot of profiles have initially come from YouTube and then moved through to Instagram or TikTok. They're far more adept at creating content. And so that's where you might draw that brief back, make it a bit broader, and give them that optionality.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think you draw a really good point. A creative brief is sort of like the medium to the influencer and needs to be adapted on a case by case basis. Typically, there should be some sort of uniform structure that directs the creator to create content in the brand's image, right? And so, if you do have a creator who's not as experienced, really walking them through, hey, here's the content style, here are the product USPs. If you're posting, here are some caption guidelines, and then here are some do's and don'ts for those brands in the health and wellness space, right? So almost like scripting it out as much as possible. And then for people that have that creative freedom, forming it with guardrails and letting them do whatever they need to do within the confines of the creative brief, right? Different niches, different creators, they all have their own workflow, but ultimately you need to color the experience with what's worked well for the brand historically and all the product messaging points you've tested for the customer personas you're targeting in the niche you want to focus on. So
Mm.
totally understand. Now this is one
And
nuance I wanted to ask you about.
mhm.
What does it look like from the creator POV? I get a lot of questions from sellers who are asking me about how to message my initial communications to affiliates. And I think the best way to approach this is understanding what creators are used to seeing on a frequent basis. And like what are some things that you've seen that creators don't like, and what are some things that you've seen make creators really excited and want to work with a brand?
Yeah, so the obvious one that kind of goes completely overlooked by a lot of brands isn't actually in the messaging. It's just picking the right creators. I know you mentioned that earlier, but if you've got a product that that influencer would want as a consumer and would probably buy themselves if they saw it enough times, then if you offer that product for free, however you offer it, it is going to resonate really well. There's a couple other factors that go into that as well. What we've found is that if you have a larger social presence, not necessarily a bigger brand, but a better social presence, then that increases the chance of an influencer being willing to accept your product and then maybe become an affiliate for you. We've also found a, that female specific brands are far more likely to be accepted by influencers. Time to results is another good metric. So if an influencer is going to receive the product and see a benefit within 5 to 7 days, then they're far more likely to accept that product
Mm,
than if they were kind of 20, 30 days down the line. And similarly, visual brands as well. So if you're a brand where they're scrolling your Instagram and they're thinking, look, this looks awesome. I want to see it myself, and this would make good content myself. And that's another indication that they might be more likely to receive the product. So all of that kind of sets your base. And then from there, from a communication standpoint, it's matching your brand tone of voice with the influencer tone of voice. So every brand understands how they should talk to a consumer, how they as a brand talk, and what their tone of voice is. But what a lot of brands don't acknowledge is that if you're targeting a specific influencer segment, then you will need to morph your messaging to match them, and you try and meet them where they are. Give you a couple of examples. Beauty influencers are typically far more likely to use emojis. Um, Mumfluencers are far more likely to use kind of almost babyish words and kind of be incredibly flattering. If we go back to that German combat sports brand that we're talking about, if I were to use the love heart emoji in one of the messages, they're never saying yes, right? So it's morphing your brand tone of voice with that influencer tone of voice, and then making kind of super clear, this is what's in it for me. This is a bit about us as a brand, and this is what we want to do with you in the future. So having some sort of hook into where we want to work with you in a longer term capacity always works well as well.
yeah, no, one
Yeah.
100%. I think to your point, like relevance is a key component that's missing in a lot of influencer marketing campaigns I'm seeing, right? And so
Mm.
relevance is going to be like tackling relevance is going to alleviate one of your biggest bottlenecks. And then to your point, the tone in your messaging is crucial because it's subconscious. People read it within the first 5 seconds. To your point about the archetype and behavior, influencers and affiliates are impatient. I know on TikTok Shop, a lot of influencers just want to see results quick, make money fast, and so that time to
Mm.
value point is absolutely crucial. Um, these are all great points, and now I want to dive into actionable strategies. So if you're at Augmentum, you're launching
Mm.
a campaign, your affiliate offer is airtight, your short list of influencers is airtight. What is the 30, 60, 90-day launch process look, or 60 to 90-day launch process look like now?
Yeah, great question. Um, so pre-zero days, which is what we call it, like if day zero is the first outreach that we do to influencers. That's when we're doing the majority of our discovery and vetting process. Um, that's alongside building out that offer, building out that outreach, because what you don't want to do is build out all of that and then realize, oh shit, I need to take 2 to 4 weeks to now discover the number of influencers that I want. From there, once you've found all of those influencers, it's outreach, it's getting addresses, shipping out products to influencers, and then building a around 14 to 28 day, depending on product, funnel of what does it look like for an influencer to receive my product all the way to become an ambassador for my brand. The way we split it up is a seeded influencer is an influencer that has received a product but maybe hasn't opted into any sort of ambassador program. and an affiliate or an ambassador has said yes to the terms of creating 2 or 3 pieces of content per month on Instagram for our Instagram programs in exchange for free product every month. And so that conversion of turning them from a seeded influencer into an affiliate is where the majority of the work gets done. And then that's something that I think it'd be good to go into.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the next part of it is that relationships and nurturing part, right? So want to dive into that a bit more. I know there's a lot of segmentation, a lot of selection, but one thing I've heard a lot of people ask me is how do I know when it's ready to bring that seeded influencer to that next step and that affiliate influencer onto a retainer?
Yeah.
From what you've seen, what are those signals when you're running a campaign?
Yeah, no, great question. So the seeded to affiliate side is honestly really simple. It's discovering influencers with the intention of would they make a good ambassador for my brand. If you can do that, and if you can be really strong in your initial vetting process and initially making sure that influencers would be a good fit for you, then there's so much less vetting to be done in between sending them the product and then them becoming an ambassador for your brand or an affiliate for your brand. The affiliate to retainer process is slightly more complex, and we typically base it off of 1 or 2 models. The most simplistic model, and I think the one that would be the best takeaway from this conversation, is mapping out the sales that that affiliate has generated for you over a set time frame, let's say 90 days, the content they've created in that time frame, and super simply dividing the number of sales or the either the new customers or the total sales volume by the number of pieces of content they've created. Sure, it's probably ignores a million different nuances, but what it gives you is a really good idea of if we were to pay this influencer for, let's say, 5 videos a month or 10 videos a month, this is the sales that we think they should be able to generate from that, because you can just project a lot easier what that number is going to be. And then from there, it's really kind of simple to understand which influencers to go on a retainer with and which influencers not to.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And you probably get a better rate too. I think that's like sort of the juicy part because when you work with influencers on a pay per post, sometimes the rate seems so high, but you don't know how much of their audience is going to be engaged with your product and your creative brief. And so, to your point, you're able to really project a more accurate ROI and hone in onto the best rate for the brand and the influencer over a long term, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of people need to explore this approach and moving influencers onto retainer more thoughtfully before engaging in these long-term contracts. Having some sort of trial period too, where you're testing out if the retainer works and not locking yourself into a 6 to 12 month. Even for the influencer too, they don't want to be locked into a 6 to 12 month with a brand partner that they don't really get along with, right? The relationship is super key. Always making sure you're soliciting feedback and both ways, right? On
Mhm.
the alternative side, want to dive into another aspect for social commerce and TikTok Shop is community building and education. So for TikTok Shop, just to paint the scene a little bit more, there has been a very high volume of gifting in the space. It's actually it's so funny because whenever I talk to other marketers outside of TikTok Shop, they tell me they're like, "How is there a $13 billion ecosystem driven on gifting only?" It's like gifting plus
Mhm.
affiliate, but it's just like there's very little sponsored collaborations and very little lives driving that $13 billion, right? Um, so now what's happened is a lot of the industry is shifting back now, where they're like sampling isn't a sustainable growth method. We need to focus on community building, education. And so when brands are trying to launch communities, what they need to do is first validate who's a good member for our community. And one thing I see a lot of people doing is indexing by GMV and saying we're only going to get creators who have the highest GMV and accept them into our super exclusive community, but thousands of other people also see that that creator has high GMV. So
Mhm.
this creator is now in like 20 communities. So what's the point in having a community if your community is a dime a dozen? I
Yeah.
tell people that you should also look for for creators who are very enthusiastic about your product and very hungry. A big trend in this space is leaderboards, office hours, education, right? And you can tie these together. So you could have a challenge where, hey, the person to hit 5 posts this week using our creative concept gets a cash bonus, right? So you can sort of gamify the education process and learning process of your brand and your product messaging points, right? You really need to make community building fun when it comes to TikTok shop influencers as opposed to a very serious thing.
Hmm.
And engagement is super important. Having a dedicated community manager who's showing what works, why it works, copy this format. I've seen other brands throw out courses in their community. That's like absolutely crucial. We brought in a community manager to Yuka, and she's doing great with our own creator community. So these are just a few things that I've seen with community. Sambhav, do you have anything you want to add for best practices for community?
Yeah, a couple, but it'd be good to just pick your brain a bit more afterwards as well, just to understand a couple of the other strategies. I'm sure everyone would love to hear that you're seeing other agencies or brands that you work with at Yuka now implementing. A big one for us is, as you said, making it as fun and as interesting as possible for influencers to engage with the brand and for affiliates to engage with the brand. That could either look like on a kind of perk level, running a competition for whoever creates the most creatives during this time period gets this prize, or whoever generates the most sales gets extra commission, or 5% extra commission, or 10% commission for a temporary time period. Um, or it could be kind of limited time available to everyone challenges. One thing that we're testing out now with one of our brands is that when an influencer comes on board as an affiliate, in the first 48 hours or 72 hours, we've not 100% decided yet, if they create a piece of content, they're then going to get extra commission for the next 7 days. And what that allows us to do is that the moment they onboard as an affiliate for the brand, they feel like they've got something to work towards, and they start off with a bang. If they start seeing that sales potential early, then whether it's on Instagram or whether it's on TikTok, they are far more likely to continue engaging with the brand for a longer time period. But yeah, no, it would be really good to understand what other strategies you're seeing to build creator communities, whether that's to help them thrive and help them earn more money, or whether that's just from an organizational standpoint, like how do we make that process really efficient?
Yeah. Yeah, I think with creator communities, there is an element of personal touch that needs to be there, right? Because you are talking to real people. So one thing we do is we always make sure we have weekly office hours, recordings, information highly accessible to our community so that everyone like there is no information asymmetry. Everyone has the same chance to succeed, and we're providing our creators with access to our social intelligence tools, creative brief builders, and research tools to understand what's working really well in the market. I think that's the biggest thing, right? If you're going to work with community members who are super super hungry, they're ready to learn. So your job is to also give them all the materials to learn and structure their approach out. I think with a lot of creators, you need to take this into the mind, at least for TikTok shop affiliates, that this is not their main job. This is their side hustle. So there's a really big time constraint and there's a lot of decision making power that they're using. So the more you free up their cognitive load and put them into a framework where you clearly show them this will make you money, the easier the engagement, the easier the opt-in will be. And I really like your point about the scarcity and urgency, right? Where it's like do this and you'll receive this, because
Mm.
that's also a motivating factor that gets them to act now or go now. So I found those to be really, really helpful. And you just also need a good community manager. You need to have someone who's super personal with creators. One thing I really love about our community manager is she hops on calls with every single creator
Well,
who joins the community before they jump on. And I don't see that a lot because everyone's
no.
just like, oh, like we're gonna tier out our creators into VIP here, and just have office hours. But it's just like creators are very individualistic people, even this idea of community management traditionally, when I go talk to creators at conferences and things like that, they're always so focused on their own routine, how they're planning out projects to film, and they're not really joining other big communities of creators on a frequent basis, like how business people are going to conferences and summits all the time, right? So you do have to connect on that individual level too, and it can't all just be done collectivistically.
Yeah, no, great points. And it's just to summarize it, it's doing the things that don't scale. Um, I know that kind of across our clients, clients have come back to us and said, "Is that you messaging each influencer about like how their weekend went, or is that your team messaging about like this thing that they put on their stories a couple of days ago?" And it's that level of attention to detail, particularly when you're in that first 100 to 200 affiliate stage. Maybe not as feasible to do for all kind of 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, however many down the line. But it's that attention to detail which really allows you to build momentum in a program and get influencers telling their influencer friends that this is a program that you want to join as well. Um, a lot of brands don't recognize that influencer word of mouth is a big deal as well. Creators talk to each other about different programs they're on and the support that they're getting. And if you can make it a really good experience for one influencer, that might be the influencer that then brings you your top creator, your top affiliates because they're friends with them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And before we dive into more of the tech AI side, I just want to color some of these strategies we put in with real results. I know you guys have a plethora of case studies, but I'd love for you to just share what tactics have worked and how well they've worked for Augmentum first to show our viewers that this is real stuff.
Yeah, no. What I'll do is I'll share our activation framework first, and then from there we can build out some live examples. We have a six-step activation framework which we follow pretty much across every client. The first is identifying the KPI that you're optimizing for. Second is, and this is optional, but ideally tying this activation into a brand event, building out communication for Instagram and email, rolling out that activation, measuring performance, and then rerunning successful activations, typically on a quarterly cadence. Now, to segue into kind of what that looks like on a live scale, one example is a brand that we ran a sales focused activation for in mid to end November, so over the Black Friday Cyber Monday period. Our event, alongside a couple other things, a new product launch, etc., was doubling commissions for that 2 week period, moving it from doubling discount for a 2 week period, moving it from 15% discount to 30% discount, and moving our commission from 25% to 30% as well. We then built out 8 different touch points, so 5 email blasts and 3 close friend stories, which we have all of those affiliates on, and then had template DMs also going out to our top 100 affiliates. We ran a 2 week activation with those terms and that offer, and what we saw was a 149% increase in new customers driven through the program from baseline in a week 1 of the activation. And we saw a 132% jump from baseline in a week 2 of the activation. We also then, and this is what a lot of brands don't do, measured performance afterwards, because there is no point in you getting 100% new customer growth in 1 week if the next week you get 0 new customers. And we found that we dropped down to about 15% below baseline for a week before jumping back up to baseline. And so, all in all, incredibly successful sales-led activation.
Interesting. That's super interesting because I feel like that discount jump isn't so crazy that you would have that huge dip below baseline. I feel
Yeah.
like that's really what kills brands in the long run is they run a crazy strategy and then it dips super below baseline. Is there any like secret sauce to get it not to dip way below baseline that you've seen work?
Yeah, it's more a length and discount jump thing during the activation itself. It's very hard to reverse the effect of a over aggressive offer. And so what you need to be doing is essentially working up rather than working down. And that might mean that in 2025, you run a slightly lower discount than you initially wanted, see how it performs, and then 3 months later, for maybe the next activation, you inch that discount up slightly and slightly more until you start to see that this is falling too far below baseline, and then that's the point at which you stop. The second thing that a lot of people don't consider is length. If you are going to let an offer run for a month, then that is going to be the new normal. And so we only recommend running any sort of activation for a maximum of 2 weeks to ensure that it genuinely feels like a limited time activation and not like this is the new norm.
Yeah, no, totally understand. It's a function of the offer times duration, right? And so
Spot on.
if you increase any of those variables, you'll have a corresponding like purpose effect where you go way below baseline. So definitely be very careful on, how you're activating, how deep you're activating, and how long you're activating. Super important points. I do want to touch on more of the tech and automation side. One
Mhm.
thing that a lot of people aren't aware that Yuka is doing is going deep into the content strategy and research side. So I want to talk a little bit more about how we approach content strategy and creative research and guide our sellers. So we work with a variety of models to essentially extract three components of a video we found generate 80% of the views. The first thing we look for is the key concept or video format. That's essentially your content style. Think about testimonial, product demo, get ready with me, those kinds of things. The next point is the hook. This is the first 2 seconds of the video, also related to thumb stop ratio, first 3 seconds of the video. I know people use those hook rate, thumb stop interchangeably. The next point is the selling points, USPs, the product info. What parts of your product are creators calling out that either solve a pain point or emphasize a dream outcome? And how can we get to the top three that resonate with our customer persona on TikTok Shop? And then how do we test those across different creator profiles? So if we actually take all three of these and rotate out to a bunch of different tests, the idea is you essentially can run creative sprints on a 2 week, 2 week, 2 week basis, right? Given that it takes around 14 days to ship a product and then the creator to post content on average, right? I know TikTok has a 13-day window for promotion. Otherwise, you get a violation on your account if you're a creator. Um, so essentially, what we found is that when we break content into these three elements for short form on TikTok Shop, you can run these creative sprints. And so this is where we tie back into our community. This is where we tie back into Augmentum's retainer approach, right? When you guys have narrowed down onto your creator profile, right? You can call that variable constant. You understand that for MMA brands, a certain fighter that's male at a certain age is really resonating with your key demographic, right? But sometimes you see average videos that have, or views that have average videos that are super high, but then no click through rate. Or sometimes you see views that are 500 that generate a few sales because they have a high click through rate. And then sometimes you see videos that do super well but fatigue over time, right? So if people are watching your video but not clicking, you're not building consideration. You're not using the right product messaging points or selling points to either solve the problem or emphasize the dream outcome. If your average video views are low, it's because people are not staying on your video for long enough. So you need to rotate in different hooks. And then if your creative is fatiguing, you might already have the best product talking points and the right creator, but TikTok's life cycle of creative is super short. Trends go in and out of fashion really fast. So how are you staying in touch with what works and testing continuously? We're able to extract all of those elements and you can index by your competitors. One thing I'd want to do if I'm in the beauty and care space is look up some of the top brands in beauty and personal care and then look at their top 100 creators and then use our software to go in and understand what hooks, selling points, and key concepts are working, right? If I'm an organic strategist or an affiliate marketer, I then create a creative brief document where I have 12 hooks, 12 selling points, and then 3 or 4 different key concepts. And then from there, I can create 3 to 4 creative briefs within a matter of minutes to test over a 2 month period. And so if you do this over time and you've got your customer persona and your product messaging points down, you will be much more successful at testing creative on the long scale, right? And I think a lot of the sentiment on automation and tech in the space these days, it's all about saving time, but now we're really focusing on uncovering trends in real time, right? There's no point in going and looking at a creator's post from a month ago and trying to copy their style because the algorithm's already flushed it out. It's already not a trend anymore. So how are you staying on top of real trends and incorporating that into your creative brief? That's really the problem we're focusing on here. And then taking that a step further, what if you could add all these creators who are familiar with those content styles into a list and then create short lists to segment within your affiliate program and then launch content styles with affiliate that have already learned it? A
Yeah.
key bottleneck in TikTok Shop is that there is no review and approval process. Whereas if you put creators on retainer, you have revisions in your contract. They are binded by the strings attached, which are money. So the way to get around this is finding the creators that are relevant to your niche, to Sambhav's earlier point, but also finding the creators that have done the content style that you want them to do before, so they have a higher likelihood of executing your vision of the creative brief, right? And so just want to pause real quick. And Sambhav, if you have any clarifying questions here, feel free to ask me before we dive into the next step of how to tie this into affiliate marketing.
I tell you what, I love the work that Yuka's doing. This is great. The big question that I think anyone watching is asking is, that's all well and great, but what does my process look like in practice? And from an operational standpoint, let's say that I'm not a brand that has 10 different employees all dedicated to TikTok Shop, like some of your larger brands might, if not more. Let's say I'm not an agency like ourselves who are focused on doing this day in, day out. How can I build a super efficient process that maybe gets 80-90% of the way there with 1 or 2 full-time staff? And how does Yuka help me do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So for anyone that does social listening as part of their marketing workflow, think about it like this. You spend 30 minutes reading the news every day, right? You don't need to spend more than 20 to 30 minutes using Yuka to get your work done. What I would do is create a Google Doc, and I would segment that Google Doc into a creative brief template. And then just copy a few versions of that and then just plug in whatever you see in Yuka. So I search up the top beauty brands. I look at their creators. I look at their videos. I copy the hook, put it on the Google Doc. Copy the selling points, put it on the Google Doc. Copy the key concepts, put it on the Google Doc. If you copy paste, that takes like 1 second per each, right? So let's say that's 30 seconds per brand. I can do about 20 brands in 10 minutes, and now I have 20 different concepts and combinations I can test between. Then I need to go back into what's worked previously for my brand and have that all in one doc. And then now it's about putting together your testing framework. I have what's worked in the past. I use my KPIs to figure out if I need to rotate in a new selling point or new hook. And then I switch that out from one of my other docs, right? And that's it. I have my creative test there. Then I go in and I measure that. And then I put in my weekly report at the end of the week why that worked or why that didn't work. And then now I have 3 to 4 more docs filled with every single thing I need to input. And so every week you just have an SOP you give to your affiliate manager where it's like, go into your doc and rotate it in a hook. If that doesn't work and click-through rate's lower, rotate in different selling points. Try this over a week-to-week basis over 2 months, and then come back to me with bi-monthly report on the different combinations of tests and results you've seen. Now you've completed a creative sprint. And so it's really as simple as that. It's a lot more time efficient than if I were a small man team going and typing in the search bar certain keywords and then trying to find the trends and then filtering by recency, right? So that's how you work under bandwidth constraints, right? I think that the part that I've seen really eat up a lot of teams that are bandwidth constrained is the personalization after they receive the product. So there's a huge time suck when it comes to managing and personalizing the affiliate program at scale. And everyone is using AI right now. And everyone who uses AI sacrifices it at a certain degree of personalization that a human could do. And so we've essentially hard coded a few automations to get 3 to 4 touch points at scale with all your affiliates. The first thing every affiliate can do, and feel free to disagree with me if I'm wrong here, Salwa, but the first thing every affiliate should get when you get a product is a welcome message with some sort of media kit about the brand and a creative brief. And so we've actually automated a message post photo option where every single affiliate who gets a sample approved, it can be conditional on different products as well, gets a welcome message with that step-by-step format you did during your research phase I was talking about earlier. And you make it look pretty with the brand logo, etc. Then you need to send them a message telling them your product arrived and remind them to post. We've automated that too. That's 2 touch points saved per influencer already for the team. The third step, thanking the creator they post. I don't understand why people don't thank people who create content for them, because it just makes them feel good. Like, you can throw cash, you can throw money, but influencers and creators are very human to human people, and I guess normal people love love validation, right? Go ahead and thank them, and then offer them something. Hook, retain, reward, right? And so reward the creator right after they reward you, and then they'll reward you with another post, and then reward them again, and then bring them into your community. So that's also been automated as well. And then to make things easier for agencies like Augmentum, have an automation that messages every creator that generates money for you. So now you have a database of creators that have made money that you can start doing your estimated ROI calculations and coming to them with rates for your retainer. So that way, if you're an affiliate manager team of 1, you spend your time on 2 places: the creative briefing and research portion, and then all your creators who have generated sales, the negotiation and retainer basis, right? So now you've eliminated all the manual work in between, and you're focusing on the top and bottom of the flywheel that'll help generate 80% of the results with 20% of the effort.
Oh, cool. I'm back. I think that my Wi-Fi maybe.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, cool. Good. Cool. Sorry, you cut out for me, but all good.
All good. Basically, just finished off saying like, hey, focus on with the time you save from welcome message, content reminder, thank you, community management. Your affiliate team of 1 is focused on retainer negotiation at the end, and then creative research at the beginning. So you're able to execute a flywheel with probably like 1/5 or 1/10 of the human resources needed.
Yeah, this is the thing that's honestly just been game changing for us. Is automation in messaging. You cannot replace, and there is no way to replace that messaging of how was your weekend, right? Or messaging someone based on a piece of content that they posted. That is fine, and that should always be that community manager's job, and that is a large part of what drives success in the program. But the message that you're sending to everyone, whether it's when they receive the product, whether it's sending them the tracking link for the package itself, whether it's 7 days later checking in on them and making sure that they post content, whether it's an onboarding flow, so when they become an affiliate, not just sending them that initial email, but then sending them a series of 4 or 5 different emails that ensure that they are continually reminded that you are like in a partnership with them, that you have sent them that product. And one way that we really like to get quite creative, and it's cliche, but your unboxing is the only thing that has a 100% open rate. So looking to get some sort of touch point in the unboxing is so critical, whether that's a QR code in the box, which links to a video from the founder or anyone in the team to say, hey, thank you so much for accepting your product, or whether that's literally putting a leaflet with the creative brief or the business as usual creative brief in the box itself. It's working out ways and across channels to make and automate that process of getting them information and making sure that they read it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. I'm gonna use that open rate on bots. That's
Yeah,
funny.
I can't claim credit. I'm sure I heard it from like a year ago and it's stuck in my head. Either way, is there anything else you wanted to touch on that kind of data piece? Because I know you could do it so well, and I know you could probably talk about it for days and
Yeah.
days.
I think me and you could keep talking for the next hour, but I do want to leave the a few minutes open for Q&A for any viewers that are still here. So I can't see the comments on my end, Sambhav, but if there is anyone commenting, let me know.
I will keep an eye out. There's a couple like hi everyone excited comments. We'll leave. Not sure where they can comment. Um, cool. I think we're out of comments. There's a couple messages in the comments section on LinkedIn underneath that post, but I'm not particularly sure there's a way for them to directly comment. So if anyone has any questions, me and someone spend far too much of our lives on LinkedIn, so you can ping us across a message to either of us about anything that you're interested on or want our thoughts on, and we'd both be more than happy to help you in whatever way we can.
Awesome. And feel
Perfect.
free to DM us, and we will send the recording of this. We will be posting it on our company pages, and stay tuned. We will be editing into more short form content for those of you brain rotted viewers as well.
We should do the half and half content and then like Subway Surfers on the bottom.
Yeah, Subway Surfers or Minecraft, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, awesome. Right, great to chat again, so speak soon, mate.
Speak soon.
Cheers,
Take
everyone.
care.
Bye bye.